So, the Black Company.
Yeah.
How did this come about? I mean, it is a well of series of books that have been around since the 80s. There was an offering in the D20 era that came out. And I've got a couple questions regarding that because Glen has spoken of the involvement in that, and just like to compare it with this. But
Sure.
you admitted Black Company is one of your favorite fantasy novels of all time. I assume that it was influenced you and your works over time in one way or another.
Sure.
So what brought this about? Because it's been years since the D20 game came out.
Shane had a bug up his butt about Black Company and was kind of working on stuff on his own for Black Company for his own kind of table.
Okay.
And then I think Shane contacted Glen directly and just basically said, we'll give you this much money to cut a deal. And Glen was like, okay. It was a really easy deal. and we paid Glen pretty well to kind of be a benevolent friend to Arc Dream and allow us to develop his wonderful property, with the understanding that we adore his property and do not want to change any of it one iota.
Right.
So that all came together rather quickly, and we've been messing around with the rules ever since. I guess it's been about a year now.
Okay.
I say constantly, develop your own properties, sell your own properties, own your own properties. There are very few properties I care about to work on that are not my own, and the Black Company is probably at the top. For those who don't know the pitch at home, the Black Company is a series of books about a mercenary company in the service of one of the 10 who were fallen. Think ring wraiths, and they work for the Lady, an immortal empress. Think Sauron, but perfect and beautiful and unstoppable. Sauron has won, the Lady has won, and rules the land, and you're just a normal schmo with a sword who serves one of these 10 and are sent to do awful things while trying to remain human, like go into this village and kill every child born after the new moon. Why? Yeah, that's not a question you get to ask. It's awful and rending and dark and terrible, and it leads to the ruin of the soldiers and the destruction of those men. So it's very, very much Delta Green's little brother.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that. In regards to the militaristic, the mercenary aspect within the game, you're beholden to a power stronger than you, and that influence is going to guide you directions you may not even want to go. But at the end of the day, you need to do what you have to do, what needs to be done, or
get away with cheating them.
Exactly. So. They're the novels themselves, famous, for their tone. The gritty, weary, morally gray, as you had mentioned. Capturing that in a game book might be difficult at times. I mean, it's done, but as you said, this is an IP that is dear to you. Was that something that you rolling into it when you start beginning the process? Was this a bit daunting, or did you find it?
No.
Yeah.
No, not at all. I mean, okay. Delta Green is that. It's very easy when the stakes are high enough mechanically. It's very easy to write these things. So the biggest concern for me were the mechanics.
Okay.
We're making mechanics that reflect the grim mathematics of violence accurately. 5e does not. Let's just get that out of the way.
No.
D20 does not. Even with all the extra rules, and it still falls flat on its face when confronted with why doesn't the burly 7-foot man charge the little guy with the short sword? There's a good answer for that. It's called physical reality.
Sure.
And if the mechanics do not reflect that, the player's actions will not reflect that. And you will lead to terrible and stupid outcomes that you will argue about at the table.
Oh.
So my biggest concern was building a system that reflected that. That the little guy with the 3 feet of steel will win the fight against the 7-foot guy who charges him, because he will just chop the guy's arm off or bury his sword in his neck. And that's why we have the empires we have in this world. That's why things exist. That violence and that inherent understanding of violence that every child knows from the get-go. I don't jump in front of a car because that will kill me. And 5e, again, fails utterly on that front. Like, I take 1d10 from falling out a window. Okay, I can jump 9 stories and hit the ground running with 30 hit points. No problem.
Well, you definitely don't want to look into the 2024 version, because that takes that to the extreme. To know more, go to my son's blog called "How the Hell Does a Halfling Have 18 Strength, Wield his Y-hander, and Move at 70 Speed?" It's
yeah, not my kind of thing. So Black Company was a very serious. For those who don't know, the novels Glenn was a Vietnam veteran.
Right.
The novels are a fantasy version of Vietnam. The jets are flying carpets. The napalm is wizards hurling huge spells down on the earth. It's a very deliberate look at insurgency and the rejection of insurgency from the eyes of the grunts on the ground, and how horrible that is. Right. So we want to reflect that in the game. So violence needed to be the primary resolution of that.
Right.
So that's central. So we've been working very hard on these rules.
Okay. So Glenn, obviously the interaction with Glenn started off very well, to a degree. At least he was very open with it. In regards to the Green Ronin adaptation, he's essentially been quoted of, he's was definitely aware of it. He was presented the initial draft, completely, oblivious to role-playing games. It wasn't, his jam back in the day. But at the very least, he said that one of the things that he liked of it was they certainly got all of the history of the company right. And so, how are you all approaching that same aspect, and fidelity of the source materials?
So high level, we're friends with the Green Ronin crew. We've known Nicole forever, since the Pagan Publishing days. We know Chris really well, and they were definitely doing their work in the D20 heyday. And I totally get it. So we're definitely taking a very different tack. We don't want level 9 sorcerer with this spell, magic missile or whatever. The mechanics are built from the ground up to be brutal and really deadly and very dangerous, because you're not playing the lady, you're not playing Soul Catcher, you're playing some schmuck in the 12th squad running around on a wall trying to repel people. But secondarily, the deal we cut with Glenn, and Shane is the primary contact with Glenn. I don't really talk to Glenn or anything like that, and Glenn really doesn't comment on very much. But there was a very good reason for that. So 15 years in video games, I've licensed properties like The Incredible Hulk and Mad Max and The Simpsons and The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings and all, and the nightmare scenario there is something called approvals, an approval turnaround.
Okay. Where
you send the product to the author and they spend 6 months looking at it, and they send back notes which you have to incorporate and change.
Sure.
So one of my resolutions for the deal was that we pay Glenn just an absurd sum comparatively, and we just say, we get it for this many years, and there are no approvals. We just work within your world, and we try very hard to make it as close to your world as possible. I would never presume to alter anything Glenn has laid down on paper. I worship those books. So there's no worry there. Everything we'll put in the book, if we expand the books, we'll be creating within the tones already created within Silver Spike and the original Black Company book and that kind of stuff, So that's how we're handling it. And Glenn Glenn is, he's an old man. He's 81 or something like that. So I doubt he would want to review everything anyway.
So that kind of brings me to the next question. As far as expanding it, is that how you see it? You're going to reflect this, the episodic aspect of the books, in an annals, like structure, or
well, the core book will definitely be the original Black Company book. It will be, right now I've already written the scenario where you're, the Syndic of Beryl. You're serving the Syndic of Beryl, just like the beginning of the first book. You're one of the poor squads who has to watch his ugly daughter. You probably played or read about it.
I'm preparing to also run that, and the scenario that Shane ran was a different one, but this one I've read, and yes, it's
So the pitch there, the general pitch, and this is high level and is subject to change, that I put forward and Shane liked, I think, is that you will begin in Beryl with the company, and then one of the 10 who have fallen will become your patron. And that will direct the campaign from there. If you're with the Hanged Man, you're in the East fighting this. If you're with the Limper, you're in the Salient fighting the rebels. Right. If you're with Soulcatcher, you're in the Empire. And from where we go from there depends on how the main core book goes. Right. But the goal of the core book is it can be a one and done. You can buy the 300 some odd page core book and run any number of adventures within the Empire as a member of the Black Company and have rules for days and everything you need to just keep going. If it's successful, if people really like it and it sells okay, or the Kickstarter does really well, we'll put out supplements. The plan is we have the license for a number of years, and we're going to do as much as we can within that time, within reason.
So, Glenn has been noted to quote a discussion that he had with Fritz Leiber, and do not include maps in your novels. If you draw a map, you're narrowing your possibilities. So Glenn is there's never really been an official map. He has said in certain instances, yes, the fan art out there is tremendous, but usually it is wrong in certain areas. And again, I know the answer to this, but the map, there is going to be a map, and how was that interaction with him? I believe he had said one time something like there was the world, there's a north, there's a south, and there's a pond in between.
Right. You'll have to ask Shane more. I mean, Shane interacted with him, but basically, we have a world map, we have the locations marked. I know Glenn has kind of looked at it. Shane has changed a number of things over time. But, I mean, Shane, if you don't know Shane Ivey, he's meticulous and obsessive. He'll mark up all of his books with, 3 days to Chimney and 2 days to, Juniper in horse race and, alter again and again and again until the map is kind of refined.
Sure.
So we will have an official RPG version of the map. I don't know if it'll carry over into Glenn's books or anything like that. Somehow I doubt it. Yeah. But Glenn, will end up owning all this stuff at the end of the license period. So, you never know.
Excellent. Well, speaking of maps, the one that you're obviously handling the brunt of is the art direction, and the art within the books. The novels themselves have been notorious over the years for depicting absolutely nothing within the books. Yeah. They were spearheaded by companies who wanted to sell the books but really didn't want to reflect what was within them. So there's not really a lot of artwork, and likewise the especially the descriptions provided with the Taken. Granted there are definite descriptions of them, but they're still somewhat mysterious. So the direction you're taking with the artwork, your approach to depicting, figures like the lady, who, like, as mentioned, are visually iconic but still mysterious. Was that an endeavor that that took a bit of time, or did you have a clear vision going into this as to what
when
the
I
world
read
was
the
going to
books,
be? Yeah,
when I read the books, I already knew what everybody kind of looked like. I mean, the most important part of these books is they are grounded in real.
right.
They are not like when the lady is turning, entire companies to glass and burning up cities. It's not a Pathfinder cover. It's a Del Toro movie. It's gritty and gross and down and in your face and sky. It's Pan's Labyrinth. It's not
Right.
it's not some high fantasy. Everybody's wearing plate mail and running around. It's people are filthy and dying and so that lends itself very easily to my style of pen and ink art. So I got to do a lot of black and white work, which was quite fun. I've done that in a lot of years. The feedback has been fantastic. The fans have just gone ape shit over it, which is just fantastic. And because, again, we're paying attention to what Glenn said. Who would you cast as Goblin? Danny DeVito. So I use a lot of reference images of Danny DeVito to come up with the look for Danny DeVito. Who is One Eye? He's Red Fox if he was starved to death. There you go. Oh. I can do that. So
that's fantastic. I would imagine, as far as, from the design aspect, that does kind of help, with, and honor, his initial vision. Because, and again, I by no means an artist, or a writer of any success, but there's certain times where, whether it be someone's depiction of something that you've written, they're like, this is what I drew. And you're like, holy crap, did you read what was on those pages? I don't know.
That seems like the art directors doing Glenn's books do that a lot. Yeah. Let's have a dragon. Let's have and it just doesn't mean anything in relation to the book. Right. So
right. Yeah, my son says dragons are part of a fantasy world. So let's put that on the book.
I like turtles. Let's have a turtle.
The way the books roll, armies on the move, the shifting fronts, and the campaigns that define the company. But as far as the geography is concerned, I mean, it was somewhat vague to certain points, especially as we were shifting around through the stories. Is that something that you feel that needs to be reconciled in regards to an RPG? Or are these particular locations going to be centralized, and the GM, or the players might fill out the various aspects of the geography that may be on the map?
You can definitely create your own areas. Of course, it's going to be your game world once you take it over. But having said that, if you read the annals or anything of Rome, or when soldiers write their recollections of war, they have no fucking idea where they are. They're wearing Gaul. Yeah, Gaul's quite a place there, buddy. We're in we're in what you would call Spain. We're in the Iberian Peninsula. Okay, any more clues? That's the average grunt on the ground, and that's what we want to kind of portray. You are ordered to go places and do things, and mechanically we build in. There's a great, really fun mechanic where the more you bitch and moan, you can reduce your stress in the game. Mm. You gain stress as a soldier by seeing awful shit and going through terrible things. But the more you kind of cheat and bitch and moan and gold brick and try and get out of work and drink, and the less stress you get, which leads to really fun outcomes in the game and just makes them play like soldiers in the book. What are you doing? Oh, well, we skipped out on guard duty and we're playing, we're playing cards in the back of the horse shed when the scouts go past. So we really fucked up, but our stress goes down. So it's fun. But building your own content is going to be key because the battles that go on here are going to be primarily from your point of view. It's you and your buddies. It's 10 or 12 guys with a commander who reports to a higher commander you rarely ever see unless you fuck up.
Yeah.
And, you guys are ass out on the line. Dig a hole and make sure no one comes up that hill to kill us. It's much more like that and much less like, you're sitting on a map planning with these guys what to do. They're just telling you. You're going over here and you're going. And a lot of the adventures turn out in between those choices where the players are like, well, the soul catcher is probably going to do this to us, so fuck it, I'm going to go look to see if there's a wizard in town where I can get a charm or something like that will save my ass. And that's a whole series of adventures right there, just gold bricking around town when you're supposed to be on duty.
Right. Yeah. So magic, within the Black Company, highly descriptive, never the same. And so, and if I may, I mean, I did play in the playtest, so if I can just mention it. So and the magic system does seem to reflect that. I mean, there is a structure within the magic system, but it's definitely a magic system that relies on augmentation within it to make what it is that you're doing, either bigger or more effective. But one of the things that I definitely enjoyed was as far as what goes into this. Here's verbal, as far as gestures and ingredients. That's up to the players, which was a lot of fun to see that at the table, and he just had an absolute blast, which lends to the gritty aspect, because what he described could have been the cover for a Halloween album or something.
Right.
Which just goes with the flow. And I think a lot of people will like that as far as the magic is concerned, because magic can be tough. It's one of those things that, as far as from my opinion, depending on the game, can get boring really quick, because all you're doing is pressing the QuickTime button, again and again and again and again, and there's really nothing special about it.
Well, there's deep considerations in the Black Company. There's a lot of interaction between spellcasters and just normal men. There's a lot of interaction with near gods and normal men, and the men somehow managed to get out on top. And mechanically, we had to make all of those things possible, no matter how improbable. But they have to mechanically be able to act. You have to be able to go, if I tie his hands up, he can't cast hold because he needs gestures. And, if I cut his tongue out, he definitely can't cast blast because it requires a shout. And so these are things we had to kind of build mechanically into the system. We also had to build options to go around those things, because there are spellcasters, powerful spellcasters, who need neither to cast those spells. They literally do nothing and the spell is cast. And we needed to kind of build that all in. And Shane's worked really hard on that.
I do, if he has some time, I would like to have him on and kind of delve deeper into the actual mechanic aspects of that in the future. So it's just,
give him a ping,
just in case, anyone's wondering, that's definitely going to be more Shane's wheelhouse. So we'll, details of like that, we'll do with him, hopefully. But I will say certain, highlighting certain aspects, the stress aspect, just was, just worked wonderfully. One of the things that I wasn't aware of until we got further into the game was that luck plays a very powerful aspect within the game.
Oh yeah,
and again reflects that. And I'm not just within the Black Company itself, but in regards to this this particular aspect of the military and soldiers within these various campaigns over history. You can't how many times you've heard a story from someone from Vietnam or from another war saying, I don't know how the hell it happened. It was just luck. And so it reflects totally on that. But so excellent. I think one more thing we'll touch on, and I know we've been talking for a bit, so I'll let you go. So, okay, cool. Well, then let's go into your history of how you did history in video games. No, never mind. But well, how much time do you have?
Yeah.
So you've definitely said that if the books played a huge influence on you, and and I assume you've read them all. So if someone completely new, to Cook's books, they haven't read any of it, but they picked up the RPG like so many people have done with like Call of Cthulhu. I've never read an H.P. Lovecraft story, but if there was one thing that they could take away about the world that's being presented in the RPG book, what might that be?
There is extremely powerful magic you may never understand going on that controls that world. You are just a normal mortal pawn so far down the totem pole, it's not even ridiculous. I mean, it's just sad, really. It's not even funny. It's just, but you are directly connected to one of these great godly powers that controls this world, and you are under their demands moment to moment. You're not fighting the Lich. You're not crawling into the tomb to find Asarak or like his hidden phylacteries or anything like that. You are literally the servant of the Lich, and the Lich commands your entire army to send you out into the field. And it's awesome and dark and weird and scary, and you never know what they want and what they know, and that nearly anything is possible with the magic in this world of significant power. Mind reading, thought transfer, changing bodies, all this stuff exists, but it's so hopelessly beyond any of your capabilities, even if you're a wizard, that it might as well be an entire another class of being, and it is. So I love that. I love that someone accidentally dug the lady up, that they buried her, 500 years ago, and 50 years ago, some schmo accidentally resurrected her, and she resurrected her servants and took over the entire continent with her powers, just for fun.
Yeah.
And, there's so much to love in those books, and the tone and the setting and the world, that I wouldn't do it justice. Just read the first Black Company book and you'll be in love with it.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And just, a lot of people kind of say that it is, from the perspective that it is written, it also leaves a lot open for interpretation, because it very well could be, the unreliable narrator.
Croker could be full of crap.
Yeah. And it's wonderful. The books I touched upon in my youth, never really got into them, but once I think I caught sight of one of your art pieces, it's like, I think it's time to venture back into it. And I think maybe kind of glad that I did at a later age, because it's really appreciating it and eating up every word, as opposed to maybe, back in the day, I would have, jumped over a lot of the more dramatic aspects to get to some of the action, which, kind of how, at that age. So.
My favorite book is The Silver Spike, by like a large degree, which, Glenn, there's a character called Raven who is the perennial dark badass who's handsome and deadly, and Glenn wrote him as a psychopath, like, quite obviously. Raven is fucked up. There's nothing right about Raven.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to like Raven, except he does some nice things sometimes, but he's just an evil fucker. And I'm not going to spoil it, but,
sure.
I read that book as a kid and went, oh my God, like, I can't believe he did this, dude. That's like his main character, isn't it? Like, no, it's Croker. But,
right.
I was just blown away. Like, you could make creative choices like that, and this was 1989 or something when I read that. So,
yeah. Meanwhile, others like me were on, and again, nothing wrong with them, but a more lighter take of like Dragons of Autumn Twilight.
Or Xanth, or like, I really liked Dragonlance as well.
Sure.
But there's just something to be said for dark, gritty, violent. I'm attracted to that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh no, it's definitely something that I enjoy also, and definitely wish that I had delved into it at a younger age, but still
reading it older is a good thing, I think.
Yeah, they were definitely enjoyable, and very, very much looking forward to the game when it comes out, and
cool. Thanks.
Looking forward to running it. I've got, like I said, there's this. It goes without saying, this is a well-loved series that doesn't give enough attention than what it deserves. but the people who love it definitely love it, and they're just like knocking down the door. And of course, this is spotlight on Arc Dream and Dennis. Everyone feels it's in very capable hands, and
good. That's a good feeling.
Looking forward to the end result. So don't fuck it up.
Thanks. There's so many arguments between me and Shane to occur before it comes out that just endless. It's but it's fun. I mean, it's a joy doing that because Shane's a great creative partner.
Yeah.
He does everything I don't want to do, and but he desperately wants to be able to draw. Make sure to niggle him about that. He can't. He's terrible at it. And
oh shit! I should have asked him to. Would you mind drawing something in here for
he'll
Roxy?
Think he can. That's the scary part.
I can't wait.
I'm just kidding, Shane. It's a joke.
Oh yeah, no. He needs to come out with his own, Lovecraftian mythos bestiary, and we'll see his takes.
They'll be terrifying. I'll give you that.
See, this is what is awesome about this group. This is how I would imagine the creative aspects of these companies. And what makes them successful? I mean, you guys obviously have known each other for a long time, but there's this almost brotherly relationship going on with everyone there. And the fact that you can say a joke about Shane, and he may, but whereas if I was doing an interview with someone in an entirely corporatized situation, every joke that I say would fall flat, and any coercion to have them say anything would be deniable.
Yeah, I mean those corporate life, like corporate creative life, is fraught.
Yeah,
you're in a web, and there's a hierarchy, and you cannot violate that. It's terrible. I hated it. Don't do it. It's a waste of your time. If you give a corporation your art, they will eventually cut you out of the loop and take your art and make a lot of money with it. Mm-hmm. Trust me, I know. I've sold games for millions of dollars, and I've gotten like a trucker's cap or like a duffel bag in exchange for it. So, don't do that. Learn from my mistakes, kids. Make your own shit and own it.
Yes, absolutely. And I see I'm shrinking here because my chair is slowly falling down. So that might be a good sign to maybe come to a close here. So. Is there anything else that you would like to mention about the Black Company that I may not have touched upon today?
No, nothing that comes to mind. We will have, I think we'll have the online playtest and like a ghost site you can sign up for free to get the playtest documents, and then join as a paid member to like join in live kind of feedback on the rules.
Okay.
So I believe Shane is planning that at some point. So basically, like the lowest tier, you'll just get the game and be able to run it. Mm-hmm. That's free. And then pay will be like, we'll have ongoing discussions on armor ablation and spells and, things like that.
Right. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. It's, hopefully, the feedback that I get will definitely be worth it and not, deleted. But I know not to email you. Email Shane, and that's and even Rachel's Shane, like, no, email Shane.
Shane still endlessly emails me. Still, I mean, it's like year 20 or something with Shane, and he's still like, I'm going to send Dennis an email, and I can't tell you how little I care about. Like, I used to answer the telephone, I used to answer emails. I only answer texts now, and if you call me, you're never, ever going to hear from me again. Like, I immediately block that number, and I'm just done.
Okay, so a little inside baseball. At the end of CamCon, it was pretty funny. So I been throughout the convention, wanted to see if I can get a moment with Shane and Dennis here, but unfortunately the cards were not played that way. And so was setting up an interview to speak with Dennis here. And of course I said, well, with listening to you talk about your email stories and whatnot. And so what's the best way to get a hold of you if not email? Should I DM you on BlueSky or something like that? He's like, well, James has my contact information. just ask, ask for it, and he can give it to you. And then there was like almost like a dramatic pause. But do not call me. And I'm like, I wasn't planning on it.
You would be surprised, like how many times I've gone like, here's my number, text me.
Yeah.
And then then it's like, so and so is calling, and I'm just like, no. Like I very purposely, it's been 10 years for me now out of corporate life. And I hit the eject button. We went all the way up on an island where our neighbors are like wolves and whales. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to, I'm done with all that. I talked to Shane and maybe two other people, so.
Yeah. Well, you obviously have done the time, ran through the trenches and have earned that right and privilege, as some may say. But it's definitely, you definitely have to keep up with it to maintain that, because next thing I'm calling you, and then just shit goes south. My daughter gets on my phone and she texts you a message and some memes because she heard me talking about you, and then everything.
Texting's fine. Texting is okay.
So, okay, this is no slam against you, because I do the same thing. But so I reached out to you to set up the interview, and there was initial back and forth, and we kind of said this time, this place, and whatever, and then eventually I saw notifications have been silenced. I'm like, oh, he does that too.
Of course.
Which,
of course.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to, like, in 2008, it was like, how quick can we get every alert possible in the history of man coming through my phone? And by 2015, I was like, I'm fucking done, man. I don't ever want to hear I don't care if you're on fire. I don't care who you are. You could be a blood relation in a Guatemalan prison. I don't want to hear it. Send me a letter. I'll get back to you.
Right. You know what? This is more a personal thing. I did not have this written down in the interview, but sure. Curious. Obviously, Arc Dream has jumped into the virtual tabletop sphere, and has offerings on a few out there, Roll20 and Foundry and whatnot. But of course, the one that a lot of people, I'm sure, keep asking for and are waiting for, Impossible Landscapes. Is that something that is on the bottom of the to-do list, or is that something that may be coming out?
I'm sure it's there somewhere. Okay. I mean, the biggest problem with these things is we have money.
Right.
We want to pay people to do these things. And when we talk to someone, I mean, so this is a reoccurring theme in my life. Let me hire you, artist.
Yeah.
We will pay you half up front right now and half when you are completed.
Right.
Would you like to do? Yes, I would like to do this. Flake, 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 flake. Nothing.
Oh,
we're not paying you the second half.
Sure.
That has happened so many times.
No shit.
There's a little note like there's a little meme going around where someone's like, "Do you have any constructive feedback for my job?" And the guy writes something on a napkin, and it says, "Do your fucking job." He hands it back to the guy. So these web guys who work on this stuff, they're the Roll20 guys. The internal Roll20 guys are really busy. They're working on a million things. I totally get that.
Sure.
But there are a bunch of ancillary guys who we have gone like, we will pay you. You give us a fee. You tell us what you need, and we'll make Impossible Landscapes priority for Roll20. Sure, and then nothing. Sure, and then nothing. And that's happened like multiple times. So let me just say, we make good money making Delta Green. We do. We really do. It's surprising, but we're all very comfortable, and we have money to develop other things. We want to hire you if you are skilled at your job. Now, having said that, we don't need writers. We don't need artists. We need VTT web developers. We need people like that. Please send me a BlueSky DM. I will hire you to do these things. But yes, so far what I've discovered is that the world is awash in flakes who will take your first fee, never complete the work, and then just be like, "Yo, dude, sorry, my dog died," or something like that at the end.
Oh,
that sucks. You know, if your dog died, I'm very sorry. We just lost our dog. It's a terrible situation.
Yes.
However,
Yeah.
I would not take a job if I knew my dog was like on chemo or something and is going to die. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, it seems to be a prevalent occurrence in the freelance community.
Jesus.
And I can totally understand you having been burned before by other companies and therefore you don't believe in the essential truth of what we're saying. However, I gave you half the fee up front, motherfucker. So, you know, anyway, I would love to have all this stuff on Virtual Tabletop.
Sure.
All the game books. They should all be there by now. That they're not is a failure on my part to find someone who's not a freaking flake. So yeah, I'm what's that line from The Departed? I'm the guy who does his job. You must be the other asshole. Like,
right.
Just, I want to hire you. I want to give you money. Please come and work and do the thing, and I will pay you. It's very weird that I have to even say that, but it's been like 4 or 5 times of just complete flakes.
I mean, I'm. It's one of those where I'm shocked but not surprised. You know, it's just one of those things where it's not just in the creative realm. It's in a lot of freelancing realms throughout the tech world.
I don't understand it.
I've hired people before, and I mean, I've been on vacations and an emergency comes up, and for those who don't know, we're IT person, contractor, and just like, hire people and pay them well. I'm not going, hey man, I've got a job for, can you $15? No,
I'm not talking about chump change. This is like, you could buy a used car with the amount of money that's gone out on these projects. I'm desperate to find someone sane in the VTT space who does not work directly for Roll20 because they are all pre-booked. I get that. Yeah.
Yes.
But
things like Foundry,
it's much easier. We find people want to do that. They kind of do that themselves. Roll20 is a whole other beast.
Right.
It's got, the way you interact with the compendiums and all that kind of stuff is totally different.
Right.
So Foundry is much more open and kind of code-based.
Well, there you go, people. For those watching or listening, send your resume to we want to hire you at arcdream.com and be sure and send me my 10% commission if they do hire you. That would be much appreciated. So
he won't get paid until the second payment goes through when the work is completed. Just to be clear.
I mean, well, I'll be mentioned. I'll get one of the first titles for ArcDream, hiring manager Scott.
God, no, it's happening.
Oh man.
Okay.
So
that was fun.
Yeah, excellent. So, thank you so much.
No problem.
do appreciate you taking the time. It was, obviously it was definitely a pleasure to talk with you here. It was, a pleasure to speak with you and talk with you. Also, at CamCon, I hope you enjoyed yourself
fun.
There.
Yeah, I had a great time.
We just spoke with James, and we talked and did a little recap of CamCon. That'll be coming out prior to this. So,
cool.
And he absolutely, very much appreciated both of you and Rachel coming there. So
we had a great time.
Yeah. So, I think we're good. Now we just have to sit and wait and try not to email you every day, even though we know it won't get through.
Well, I was thinking if you and James, and do you have anybody else you trust role playing? If you guys, I need a 3-man group at some point to run some stuff.
Absolutely.
So if you guys have time and want to play, and it'll probably be Delta Green to start with, and then it might be Black Company. So
okay. No, absolutely. Yeah, I will. Well, not email you. I'll send a carrier pigeon with my recommendations.
Why is text so hard for people to? It's so simple.
I'm joking. I will definitely, reach out and speak with them, and obviously give me a bit more information by text.
Well, I think you and James would be great.
Mm-hmm.
If you have one more or two more that you trust, who are not, crazy.
Or not going to jump on Delta Green Reddit and go, guess what?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Someone trustworthy, because a lot of this stuff's going to be weird and experimental. So,
Right. Okay.
But this is how Impossible Landscapes came along. I just ran it for Caleb and
Sure.
Ross kind of independently.
I would definitely be honored. That'd be great. So,
cool.
in closing, just a bit of advice from you, just real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. So, Impossible Landscapes. Seth Skorkowski. Some people may have heard of this guy.
I don't know who that is.
I know. He's some guy from Texas. Jesus. But he's going to be part of the game. What advice do you have for me to, essentially ruin his world, so he gives a fantastic review once he's done with it?
The greatest piece of feedback and the largest point of failure, in Impossible Landscapes, is over obsession with the source material. Is I need to know when Asa Darabandi was born on the exact date and blah blah blah. Like I can't look it up. I don't know where it is. And, oh my god. It doesn't fucking matter when Asa Darabandi was born at all. And in fact, Asa Darabandi might not even be real. We had a guy who hunted Asa Darabandi down and traced him back to the apartment, and it was his apartment. Mm-hmm. Like he went in, and the PC's like, "This is my place," and there's a dead child in the bathtub, and he's like, he spent months tracking down Asa Darabandi and found he was Asa Darabandi,
right?
Or that was what he called himself when he did that. So there's a fluidness and a looseness needed in the game master, the handler, to be able to kind of roll with the punches. And when they push, you pull. And when they pull, you push. And it's not about solutions. It's about ever deepening mysteries.
Right.
Forever. The greatest point of reference I can give you is the movie Zodiac.
Oh, okay.
Nothing is ever solved.
No.
There is no resolution to the crime. They never go, this guy is the Zodiac. They go, we think this guy might be the Zodiac, but then the guy in the house seems to know a lot about the murders, and he's not the suspect, and I flee, and I never find out. And it's clue building to this grand mystery that goes nowhere at the end. And you're left going, holy fuck, I came this close to running into the Zodiac killer. That magic is what you want.
Fantastic.
So, and the last thing I'll say is it's a progression to insanity. It does not begin in insanity. It is very important that the night floors, the McAllister building, the 95 scenario is very grounded. Yeah. So you'll want touchstones. You'll want like Black Hole Sun is on the radio all the time. And, it's 95 degrees and humid in New York and everybody's sweating their ass off. And Independence Day is in the movie. You want grab references these guys would be familiar with and just inundate them with these things. So that when they, pick up the kid's walkie-talkie they find in the basement, the sticker on it is obey. All the shit you remember from when you were that age.
Right.
And then when it really takes off, the shit that really got people was when it took off and they finally got to Ambrose's warehouse where he's building everything.
Right.
They literally, he's putting obey stickers on an endless array of those walkie-talkies that I created on the fly 30 sessions ago.
Right.
When that happens, you don't even need to roll sanity. The players are like, holy fuck, holy fuck, holy fuck. So you build and build and build. And you want end targets, and you want... The other thing I'll say is it sometimes pays to be very ambiguous up front and to put little placeholders in there. Like you see a figure at the end of the hall on the third floor jimmying with the lock, and you rush up there, the light blows out, and he's gone when you get there. And you knock on the door, and the person who's supposed to live there answers it, and nobody went in there. They're like, what are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. And later on, you have that figure recur and recur and recur and recur. And then later on, you can feed the situation so that the PC realizes they are that figure. Mm-hmm. And near the end of the game, they're fiddling with the lock, and someone's coming up the stairs, and you're just like, oh, shit. Looping, recursive, fractal horror is what you want. It begins small, and then you realize you're in the middle of this giant kaleidoscope of terror, and there's really no way out.
Yeah, it's too late.
Yeah. So that's the important bit. And Seth seems to be, he's a YouTube guy or something.
He is, yeah. He's does YouTube reviews and other things. He's
cool.
fairly popular in
so the last thing I'll say is you are like pearls from the river. You are hoping to draw out moments where players believe they are clever.
Right.
You're not giving them the solutions. You're helping them kind of arrive in situations where they can't help but see the solution, and they feel, holy fuck, the red door goes to the bookstore, and I figured that out. And then that becomes theirs, and they parrot that shit everywhere. And I've run it almost 10 times now. Yeah. We're almost through the 10th time. And every time, everybody owns one of the key moments. Oh, the lion woke up, and I got into like a fucking fight with it in the house, and the cops showed up, and it killed 2 cops and rolled over the car, and and they become their kind of internal stories.
Yeah,
and that's what you're looking for. So I would mark the portions of the book that resonate with you, and go, this is going to be a special moment. How do I get my players there? There are so many angles of entry in so many different situations here. Yes. That it's like, how do I kind of encourage my players to go back without very obviously going wink, wink. And that's because you want the feeling of horror discovery to be theirs. You want them to own it.
Right. You don't want it to be a Shyamalan twist. You want it to have more impact than that. Yeah. No.
Yeah. And they have to feel like they're peeling away stuff.
Yeah.
And kind of discovering new horrible stuff beyond it, but it never really comes to an end.
Excellent.
Yeah,
no, and excellent advice, not just for me, but again for those who are watching on running Impossible Landscapes. So Dennis, thank you so much again. I know I've already thanked you already, but this has been fantastic. So time to get back to our busy lives, but
yes,
we will now end this episode of yet another completely unprofessional interview. And for those of you watching, thank you so much. Know that once the last person is raptured today, the looting and pillaging can begin. So we will see you on the battlefields with as much guzzling as I can find, and hopefully some football shoulder pads that fit me like they used to in high school. Goddamn, getting old sucks. But anyways, thank you, and take care, everyone.
See you later, guys.